sanctuary if you're ready tonight. I know that it's all so heavy. Won't you let me inside? 'Cause I could be your sanctuary.
What's up guys, hope everyone is doing well. In today's video I'm going to be going over the usual Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, 3 stock market indices, and then the handful of altcoins that I've been touching on recently. To go ahead and get it started here, the first thing that I want to go over here for Bitcoin is on this 2 weekly chart. I mentioned in my previous video pointing out these 2 moving averages, so these 2 white ones right here. Again, the 50 moving average and the 50 estimated moving average. The 50 moving average is the upper one, the lower one being the EMA. 50 EMA, and in my recent video there wasn't actually a crossing over of this 50 moving average going below the 50 EMA. The crossover happened around like the 19th through 21st of March, and with these two, so this black bubble down here and then this second one, or this circle up here to the right of our current I guess suppose the breakout of the bear market, it seems at this point. But only time this happened in the past obviously was back here in 2015. Again, so this is the second time only in Bitcoin's history, especially within this 10-year, almost on the dot 10-year time frame we're looking at right here. Which, so if we this black dotted or vertical line right here, 2013, factoring in, so this is basically in terms of a linear ascending support. This would be the, so this yellow range we have set right here would be the longest term trend in terms of that definition. Then up here is the exact same lines, same slope, like I said, the exact same line. These are just orange. So along with seeing this crossover, which, I mean, the only other time we could even try to think about what could possibly be coming after a crossover of this nature would be to look back in 2015. Obviously that was a very good thing. We're also meeting this quite literally the longest macro trend support that we can find in a linear context. And then again, just to reiterate, this MACD down here, not the MACD, my bad, the RSI, if we go back to this chart, again, is still looking very nice. We are essentially just look exactly how we have after every single bear market leading up towards this golden pocket, so the 618 range right here. Still need to move a little bit higher, but for all intents and purposes, things are pretty much essentially confirmed, at least in my personal opinion, if I were to insert some sort of bias. But once more, if we look at these upper trend, so these resistance, this resistance range, the first one will be putting us more, again, it just continues to confirm 200,000 to, I believe, no more than 300,000, according to, if we get a behavior similar to this, which again, this goes back to the whole phase cycle theory that I have in regards to the content on this channel. If you want more elaboration on that, if you're new for whatever reason, I'll have cards linked to that at the beginning of the video. But here on this 2-day chart for Bitcoin, again, bringing up this curve linear, think about it as a falling wedge, but these curve linear resistance and support zones being denoted by the green converging point, or the green converging pattern, and this red line right here, we have linear, so we have curve linear. We've broken out of the curve linear resistance, so we can look at it again, like I said, as a falling wedge type pattern. So we've broken out of that, pretty much pinpointed the breakout point of this bear market so far. Then we then broke above the linear support, again the red line. We've come back down and we tested it twice in this megaphone pattern, which will be akin to a bull flag with the way that it's laid out on this chart. Again, this is the 2-day chart. We've broken above the 200, it's either the estimated or moving average, or just the moving average, I forget what specifically, but just in general, 200 period moving average of sorts, which is generally a pretty important and pivotal moving average on multiple time frames. You can see we got this test down here of the 800 EMA, again another important moving average, which did line up right with the testing of this linear support, as I mentioned, or resistance turned into support recently on my community tab, again with this chart right here. So this is the 4-hour chart. We could be potentially, as you can see, breaking this shorter time, this more micro support. This could be essentially signifying the onset of this pattern right here. Again, we've broken out of linear resistance, flipped it into support. Again, zooming in here on this flag in terms of what it seems to be showing more of a megaphone pattern at this point. We could be getting a double top right here. This is on the daily chart. We're getting a bearish divergence on all three of the indicators here as well. Again, like I said in my recent video, around 23 to 25,000 approximately. If we start to dip below about, carrying this out roughly, I mean, around 22.5 thousand will be the critical area to watch for. We might get some wicks to there, that's fine, but if we start to significantly close below that on this daily chart, closing and opening above that's likely not going to be too good. There is a likelihood though, if we, let's see if I went over, so if we jump here to Ethereum, we can see here again, essentially the exact same picture. The harmonics, as I've went over multiple times on this channel, are essentially identical to Bitcoin. We've broken out of our macro 16 a month approximately resistance. And right now what we're seeing here, if we zoom in on Ethereum, we're seeing a flag pattern as well. This one's more of kind of just an ascending horizontal type formation. A lot of the times, or I suppose maybe perhaps in more recent history, a lot of the times Ethereum acts as a, not the overall, I would say, crypto market indicator for when it's going to switch momentum. But a lot of the times Ethereum will act as a more of a smaller time frame leading indicator, and we can see that we're breaking out above our bull flag resistance right here of this yellow dotted line. So perhaps what I'm trying to say here is that for Bitcoin, instead of actually coming down and testing around 23, 25,000, we're going to continue to go up from here. If so, obviously, I mean, pretty obviously, we need to break above 30,000, and then after that, I don't really see it going any higher than 34,000 approximately. There is a possibility that if it goes to 34, 35,000, I think it'll likely sit from around 30 to 35,000. Or there's also a possibility that it pumps straight to this approximately $40,000 area, which again, if we just look back here, in this general range right here is where a lot of resistance, kind of like median resistance slash support, depending upon, we found support right here, eventually got rejected below it. Now we're going to come up to it, likely kind of be this kind of the ultimatum point. Once we finally break above the $45,000 value approximately, it does indicate, according to how I think things are going to play out, the price value that would indicate the actual flip into the most parabolic movement of the upcoming bull market in terms of how I see it, according to the phase cycle system that I use. Along with that, for Ethereum, probably just continuing towards around 2200 if I had to guess. If we do see that retest, I mean, Ethereum, most important value to look out for would just be around $1,500. For Cardano, again, similar picture here. You can see the same, it's essentially the exact same macro layout. This one, a little bit different. It had more of a significant severe retrace recently. Now it's coming back up. It's finding some resistance along the what was support, perhaps. Let's say the market retest. Cardano continues to go lower. Starts to go below essentially it's 30 cents. Not too good. Also, I mean, it might also start to indicate if Cardano's doing that, likely maybe Bitcoin's going down further than the range I gave as well. The most important value for Cardano to get through right now at this point is pretty much about, according to the ascending support right here, once it starts to break around 45 cents, with strength and volume support, etc., then likely that's going to initiate these higher moves towards the upside. If we jump in here to the stock market indices, so this is New York Stock Exchange, all three of the indices right now, so the other two, SPX and the NASDAQ, are facing essentially the exact same resistance point you can see right here along with this. So we have this macro, what was ascending resistance. We found support on it recently. Whether or not we get rejected right here, generally broadly more within this white range, which would be the taking, let's see, right here, if I highlight it, looking, as I mentioned in the previous video, seeing a megaphone type pattern here. Again, Bitcoin's kind of seeing the same thing as well. Just looking at it like this broadly, this white box is what represents kind of the mid basis. The crux rectangle you could fit in between these two lines right here, like in geometric fashion. But so I mean, starting to push above 16,000 is really the ultimatum for the New York Stock Exchange. about 4,200 for SPX, again facing resistance right here, this red box. Taking the NASDAQ, essentially same thing here on this black box, 13,000. Once if it starts to push above 14,000, then likely this will continue to go up with the cryptocurrency market, although the decoupling does seem rather obvious given the recent bank failures and now there are many things going on within global society and society in general right now. But if we jump in here into altcoins here for XYO, yeah, the XYO, which is what we're looking at right now, the USD chart looks far better than XYO to Bitcoin right now. Again, essentially the same idea as Bitcoin, Cardano, Ethereum. This looks, I would actually say, if I still have it zoomed out, looks rather similar to the way Cardano formed, kind of this general, almost straight. You can still see that pretty clear ABCD pattern jumping back between these two, though, in terms of this right here, and then we see that, and then into the next bull market, which again, like I've mentioned many times in the past, is basically like an ABCD pattern or a lightning bolt ABC pattern into an M variant of a double bottom. Then we actually get that harmonic reversal there in terms of the price structure. But breaking out of the macro resistance, we come down, we tested it right here, and we kind of just continued to, I don't think it's necessarily proper to call it a flag. I mean, perhaps it is, given that the rest of the market's essentially, I mean, Bitcoin's doing that, which means a lot of the other altcoins are obviously going to look similar, as I've pointed out so far. But anyways, this looks, if you want to call it that, in general, it's just a falling triangle, falling wedge. You can look at it as a breakout bull flag at the end of a bear market. As I've been saying, whenever this does decide to go up around 1.50 to 2 pennies, if we zoom back in here, the most important price target, first of all, would be around 0.0057 and start breaking through, and then about, which is also right here in this general area as well, lining up with this 200 period moving average or estimated moving average. Again, I forget which one, 6.5 or 0.0065. So pushing nearly a penny, a little over half of a penny. But if we go to this XYO to Bitcoin chart, as I mentioned in the previous video, I see in terms of kind of just a bear market price harmonic structure with the pink, black, blue. We're in the last phase of a bear market according to that circled area, kind of just being this consolidation beforehand. Obviously, they do look very different. I mean, just take, for example, back here, had essentially an upward or a positive trajectory. Down here, it's technically negative. But overall, like I said, this does look a lot worse than XYO to Bitcoin chart, or the XYO to USD chart. I mean, there's a minor bullish divergence here. This is on the daily chart. Like I said, I mean, there's still the possibility that we do see this go down. For example, I mean, Bitcoin can go up and see a nice pump while XYO goes down. That happens a lot of the times. If you go back and look at a bunch of altcoins, Bitcoin will be going up, Ethereum, Cardano, a lot of other altcoins, but then there's being like a subset of another grouping of altcoins that are actually going down. It's just some coins aren't perfectly lined up with Bitcoin. I mean, obviously they're not going to be perfectly lined up, but some of them are more correlated with flowing and fluctuating and along with Bitcoin than others are. XYO is one of the ones that differs a lot. If that were to happen, I would have to say the next major area to meet would be around, I mean, I would say around 0.0015, so approximately 1/10 of a penny. If that were to happen, that'd be a rough price range. Although that's personally not what I think. I still think it's generally just consolidating until it goes upwards. But again, at the end of the day, anything can happen in terms of that. Here for Phantom. Essentially the same picture here as well. We can see breakout from macro resistance, a rough average macro resistance, trying to group in as many pivotal or just in general important, you know, the relative high points going throughout this bear trend. Right here, the flag pattern kind of looks more, I mean, it's essentially, I suppose, kind of an asymmetrical wedge pattern, if you want to even look at it that way. But there's a possibility we see Phantom come down around 33, 34 cents, continue to retrace. Or if it breaks out right now, essentially 48 to 50 cents would be perhaps to go above that, looking out for that. And then especially if it starts to go above with strength, volume support, etc., 60 cents could likely then see a move up to, I mean, around $1.16, $1.20, up to around $1.50 or so for Phantom. If we start to continue, like I said, go lower, really starting to break below, getting to 29, 28 cents likely won't be looking too good. Also, factoring in more likelihood that Bitcoin actually ends up retracing more severely or whatnot. But here for JASMY, essentially I'm seeing massive falling wedge, more falling triangle. After we get this falling, this bullish pattern in general, we get this, we're seeing here a bull flag type pattern again, kind of just testament to the overall, just the general intrinsic way that the crypto market's structured right now, and due to Bitcoin, kind of, I mean, fluctuating everything along with it. But right now, the main price target to look out here for JASMY is going to be moving above around 0.06566 with a strong emphasis on around 0.008. Once it starts to really kind of break above that, like I could see another quick, strong move towards the upside. Starts to lose. I mean, you obviously want to watch it once it starts to reach this most recent relative low around 0.044, but if it starts to lose essentially approximately 0.004, likely not looking too good there. I mean, obviously, if it, I mean, the bear market could not be over, it could be over, who knows? I mean, if Bitcoin could continue to go lower, I mean, the next area is around 13.5 to 13,000, any worst case scenario. I mean, as I've been saying for months, I mean, 10,000. I mean, technically $0 is on the table. I mean, like I say all the time, I mean, I could put, there's an infinite amount of paths on here that the price could take. Only one of them is going to happen. So, I mean, obviously you don't really know what is going to happen. But here for Theta, again, same idea here. See macro support and resistance, approximately 16 months in length or duration. Pushing it right here, as we can see. We zoom in. We are essentially, for the first time, even though this candle still hasn't closed yet, we, for the first time, are closing, or just getting a body of a candle outside of this macro resistance. So that's also a good thing. We don't really want to start to see Theta lose around 85 cents approximately, starts to significantly go below that. Perhaps, like I was just got done saying, bear market perhaps isn't over for the entire crypto market. I mean, who knows? For all we know, another black swan event could be around the corner with how the world looks. But right now, I'd say the most important price target to be looking out for, if you're in Theta, would be around $1.18, around around $1.25. Starts with strength, volume support, etc. What it needs to just be more of a convincing reasoning for it to break above those price targets. I mean, if it does start to break above that, the next area could be towards around this 800 EMA around. In general, I'd say around $2, kind of lining up going back here as well. If we highlight this general area right here, when we could come within this general area, it also just kind of lines up with right here was what could have been a major support, and then obviously we got rejected, unfortunately. But I mean, this range is essentially, like I got done saying, just around $2 to $3 could be the next area. Right now it's at $1, so I mean, it's a pretty significant jump, if so. I mean, if it continues to go lower, I mean, this could technically go about as low, depending upon when it happened. I mean, 17, 20 cents, which would in general line up with this approximate area. All the way back here. Again, likely I don't see these very bad price targets or the bottom coming out, but just trying to go over everything, at least most of it. But here for TRIAS, again, this one's been behaving perhaps better, if you want to even call it that, but we are coming upon, as you can see clearly with this black range, we entered the overall pink range, which I've been talking about. Again, this could be looking similar to a double top. If we zoom in here, we are seeing a minor bearish, I would say, divergence. So again, that's similar to what Bitcoin was showing on the daily chart. So again, we could see that retracement here. TRIAS right now, worst case scenario, doesn't need to lose $2.10. Other than that, around perhaps around $2.75, $2.50, 40, 50 cents. And then, like I said, worst case scenario, hopefully it doesn't start to lose $2.10. Given the way that this has moving, the price has fluctuated so far, I mean, we could likely just come up into this general area and actually trade sideways for a little bit and then finally get a massive breakout perhaps delayed in association with Bitcoin, or perhaps this shoots up like a rocket and then does something kind of like this and find support on the top of the pink range, which kind of just line up with this yellow bubble or this yellow ellipse that I have drawn over here. But really starting to see it push above around $3.90 to $4, with volume, etc. That would be something to look out for. Here for Dogecoin, again on this daily chart. If we go back here, as I've been pointing out, this was the previous build up after the bear market. Once we reached that final low in the previous bear market, going back to 2017 to 2018-19 into 2020. Once we got this build up right here within the year of 2020, we get these three pretty clear cut, you could easily point them out, bottoms right here in succession. That's what we're getting right here with these three arrows pointing to. Again, I have three bubbles drawn over it. Essentially, if I were to draw, just to highlight it, we have this kind of peak right here, then we come down, then we just spike up. That is what we've seen right here. So it's essentially, as you can tell, this would just have been, get rid of everything. This is just essentially a massive double bottom with just obviously a lot more price fluctuation in between. This purple area that I've drawn back here is where we are right here currently. You can see, so again, like I said, this is basically the second to last relative high before we started this major bull run. That is where we're at right here. So in association with this green, or not the green, but the blue and the yellow, we're right here. We're going to maybe see this retracement. According to this chart, I mean, it could come down to around like maybe around 7.75, 7 to 7.5 cents. And then once it starts to push up from there, seeing that breakout above 15 cents is going to be most important. Then the next area, again, this just lines up with this area right here. It's going to be around 24 to 30, so around 24 to 34 cents once we solidify breaking above 14 to 15 cents. Again, here for Dogecoin. Here for CRU. As I mentioned in the previous video, if we pay attention down here, we broke out of the macro resistance. As you can see, we've tested it twice. Similar to what Bitcoin's done, we had this falling wedge pattern right here. We broke down from it, hit the price target so far. We're coming back down to it again, so perhaps we could see just a clear double bottom right here. And we see, let's say Bitcoin spikes up, like Ethereum, like I mentioned earlier, with the leading indicator type situation. Maybe we'll see a quick move up here for CRU. There's a possibility that we come up to this blue box, like I said, trade sideways, and then see a massive move. Likely, it would be something more like this if I had to guess, and then we would do something along that nature. Because I mean, I would assume there's probably going to be some sort of hold up within this general area right here. So if we if we break below the previous bottom around like $1, right, could possibly go around 64, or I mean that would essentially be retesting the previous lows. So I don't personally think that's too likely, but right now breaking above $1.70 approximately, so $1.68 to $1.70 would be kind of just a lookout zone, watch out zone to see how it's about to. Perhaps maybe it's not going to get rejected and it sees a strong thrust towards the upside. Here for Algorand, again we see macro resistance, same situations as essentially everything I've gone over. We haven't broken out of the macro resistance yet so far. We're pushing it once more again like we did back here in February, around halfway into February this year. We don't need to, if it starts to push below 20 cents, then especially 18 cents, it's not going to be too good. Right now, the most important area to look out for Algorand is going to be 24 cents, 25 cents, and then meeting this moving average. Once it starts to solidify, especially if it's showing strength above 28 to 30 cents, we could see a significant spike up to this moving average right here, within around 50 to 60 cents, and maybe even a little bit higher towards this area going back here, which is going to be, excuse me, be around 75 to around 93 cents or something along that line. Really, it kind of just seems like $1 is going to be a massive threshold for Algorand once it starts to eventually move back above that. Here for MATIC, we have continued. This one's been also moving a little bit, I would say a lot better than most of the market as well. This was one of the better performers, especially, well, I mean, obviously just looking at it in terms of the last bull run, being the most recent thing to look out for it. But for MATIC, if it starts to show promise above strength, price trading above $1.25 approximately. That's going to be very good. Bottom line for MATIC is if it starts to push below 90 cents, we could quickly, especially if we end up losing around 80 to 75 cents, quickly, get brought back down to these lowest lows. Again, kind of just to go ahead and sum up everything here, given this is the last coin that I gone over, we'll just continue to either enter the bear market or perhaps the bull market's not over. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, and it is my bias that we're going to continue to go from here, because that's just really what things are most, in terms of all the conjectures, most likely pointing to. But that was all that I wanted to go over in this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you're able to learn or take something away from this video for yourself. All that being said, I hope you all have a blessed day.